February 28th, 2024, Wednesday of the second week of Lent.
A reading from the book of the prophet Jeremiah. The people of Judah and the citizens of Jerusalem said, "Come, let us contrive a plot against Jeremiah. It will not mean the loss of instruction from the priests, nor of the counsel from the wise, nor of messages from the prophets. And so let us destroy him by his own tongue. Let us carefully note his every word. Heed me, O Lord, and listen to what my adversaries say. Must good be repaid with evil, that they should dig a pit to take my life? Remember that I stood before you to speak in their behalf, to turn away your wrath from them." The word of the Lord.
The response is, "Save me, O Lord, in your kindness. You will free me from the snare they set for me, for you are my refuge. Into your hands I commend my spirit. You will redeem me, O Lord, O faithful God. Save me, O Lord, in your kindness. I hear the whispers of the crowd that frighten me from every side, as they consult together against me, plotting to take my life. Save me, O Lord, in your kindness. But my trust is in you, O Lord. I say, you are my God. In your hands is my destiny. Rescue me from the clutches of my enemies and my persecutors. Save me, O Lord, in your kindness."
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. As Jesus was going up to Jerusalem, he took the 12 disciples aside by themselves and said to them on the way, "Behold, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be handed over to the chief priest and the scribes, and they will condemn him to death, and hand him over to the Gentiles to be mocked and scourged and crucified, and he will be raised on the third day." Then the mother of the sons of Zebedee approached Jesus with her sons and did him homage, wishing to ask him for something. He said to her, "What do you wish?" She answered him, "Command that these 2 sons of mine sit, one at your right and the other at your left, in your kingdom." Jesus said in reply, "You do not know what you are asking. Can you drink the chalice that I am going to drink?" They said to him, "We can." He replied, "My chalice you will indeed drink, but to sit at my right and at my left, this is not mine to give, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared by my Father." When the 10 heard this, they became indignant at the 2 brothers. But Jesus summoned them and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and the great ones make their authority over them felt. But it shall not be so among you. Rather, whoever wishes to be great among you shall be your servant. Whoever wishes to be first among you shall be your slave. Just so, the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." The Gospel of the Lord.
Facing the cross with courage and love. Wednesday of the second week of Lent. As Jesus was going up to Jerusalem, he took the 12 disciples aside by themselves, and said to them on the way, "Behold, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be handed over to the chief priests and the scribes, and they will condemn him to death, and hand him over to the Gentiles to be mocked and scourged and crucified, and he will be raised on the third day." Matthew 20 verses 17 to 19. What a conversation that must have been. As Jesus was traveling to Jerusalem with the 12 just prior to the first Holy Week, Jesus spoke openly and clearly about what would be waiting for him in Jerusalem. Imagine what the disciples would have thought. In many ways, it would have been too much for them to comprehend at the time. In many ways, the disciples probably preferred not to hear what Jesus had to say. But Jesus knew they needed to hear this difficult truth, especially as the moment of the crucifixion drew near. Oftentimes, the full message of the gospel is difficult for us to accept. This is because the full message of the gospel will always centrally point us to the sacrifice of the cross. Sacrificial love and the full embrace of the cross needs to be seen, understood, loved, fully embraced and confidently proclaimed. But how is this done? Let's start with our Lord himself. Jesus was not afraid of the truth. He knew that his suffering and death was imminent, and he was ready and willing to accept this truth without hesitation. He didn't see his cross in a negative light. He did not look at it as a tragedy to be avoided. He didn't allow fear to deter him. Instead, Jesus looked at his imminent sufferings in the light of truth. He saw his suffering and death as a glorious act of love that he was soon to offer, and, therefore, he was not afraid to not only embrace these sufferings but also to speak of them with confidence and courage. In our own lives, we are given the invitation to imitate Jesus' courage and love every time we must face something difficult in life. When this happens, some of the most common temptations are to be angry about the difficulty, or to look for ways to avoid it, or to blame others, or to give in to despair and the like. There are numerous coping mechanisms that kick in by which we tend to try and avoid the crosses that await us. But what if we followed the example of our Lord instead? What if we faced any and every pending cross with love, courage and a willing embrace? What if instead of looking for a way out, we looked for a way in, so to speak? That is, we looked for a way to embrace our suffering in a sacrificial way, without hesitancy, in imitation of Jesus' embrace of his cross. Every cross in life has the potential of becoming an instrument of much grace in our own lives and in the lives of others. Therefore, from the perspective of grace and eternity, crosses must be embraced, not avoided or cursed. Reflect, today, upon any difficulty you are facing. Do you see it in the same way that Jesus sees it? Can you see every cross you are given as an opportunity for sacrificial love? Are you able to embrace it with hope and confidence, knowing that God can bring good out of it? Seek to imitate our Lord by joyfully embracing the difficulties you face, and those crosses will ultimately share in the resurrection with our Lord. My suffering Lord, you freely embraced the injustice of the cross with love and courage. You saw beyond the apparent scandal and suffering and transformed the evil done to you into the greatest act of love ever known. Give me the grace to imitate your perfect love and to do so with the strength and confidence that you had. Jesus, I trust in you.